don't think I do it.
But Arsenal started like a house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show and another episode of the Late Night Leeds instalment. Just before you go to bed, right? You're all sat there with your cup of teas in your dressing gowns, etc., ready to listen to some Leeds United news. I've just finished work, and whilst I was working, a lot of news was coming out about, you know, we did a video earlier on and we spoke about the fact that there was this showdown meeting, if you like, with all the shareholders at Sampdoria. They had a timeline that they had to hit. Otherwise, they would have incurred a 4-point deduction going into the next season. And yeah, it was squeaky bum time, as we say in England, for Radrizzani. Audio's a bit funny. It's because my mic's over there. My bad, folks. Let's start that again. I've just finished work, you see, so I have to move my mic. But because I've just swung it back, is that better? Before we go on, yeah, that's better. Listen, earlier, I told you earlier, I was doing this going, why can't I see the video? And I genuinely was talking to myself, right? And then I realized they hadn't clicked go live. And yeah, it is what it is, man. It's been a long day, but it's been a good day, right? It's been a good day because we heard that Andrea Radrizzani is no wonder you're relegated. You're all over the place. I know, Saeed, it is what it is, mate. You know what it's like. You want to try do this full time. It's long days, man. It's long days. But yeah, listen. So all the news came out that Andrea Radrizzani has now acquired his new club, Sampdoria. Now, as I was following this, I came across a great Twitter account by the name of Andrea Russo, who is an Italian Leeds United fan, and he said to me, "I must stress." This was before Cellino or Radrizzani, okay? He joined us during the League One days. He isn't a hanger-on. He isn't a USA men's national team Stan account, for example. He's been here when we were down in the depths. And to be honest, some of the stuff that he was reporting was amazing. We had a chat in Twitter DMs, and I thought, oh, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. So why not bring him on and have a chat with him? Because he's a Leeds United fan. And yeah, he knows what's been going on. So without further ado, let me welcome in Andrea. How are you doing, mate? You okay?
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for the invitation. I'm doing well. Of course, it's been a long day for both Leeds and Sampdoria, so yeah. I'm eager to chat with you.
Yeah,
yeah. Hopefully, good news comes for us for Leeds too in the near future. Yeah.
No, exactly. And I've just seen there, to be fair, Andrea, there's been a lot of tweets just on your latest tweet, where you've I guess converted into English what the ASA and I forget the other company now.
The other, yeah. It's a kind of consortium between Acer and which of course is owned by Radrizzani, and JUSTJOE, which is owned by a man called Matteo Manfredi, which is a business associate, of course, of Radrizzani.
Okay, and they've now released their statement, basically, haven't they? Saying that they have now taken full, acquisition of Sampdoria.
Yeah,
right?
I can read it to you if you.
Of course. Go ahead. Yeah,
I translated it very, very quickly. Yeah, Radrizzani basically said, "Now we can announce it. It was a real battle, but we can finally announce that we made it. We are nothing but short of thrilled to be able to announce that we have completed the acquisition of this extraordinary club. The history and the badge of Sampdoria are saved, and I think my happiness is the same of all the people who are suffering for these colors. At this time, I thank all those people who work for this deal relentlessly to ensure that this agreement reached a fair conclusion. In particular, I have to extend a huge thank you to his associate Manfredi and his lawyer De Gennaro. Without them, none of this would have been possible." And the final phrase is, "From today, we move on, and I personally can't wait to get to work." To Sampdoria.
This is mad though, right? You're a Leeds United fan, so knowing that he can't wait to get to work on Sampdoria when we've just been relegated and he still owns us, right? So like that's madness to me hearing him say that.
Yeah, I agree, because I didn't like the statement that came out after the loss versus Spurs on Sunday, because he wasn't signed.
Yeah.
It looked like written by ChatGPT. Second,
yeah.
And the third, of course, we need clarity. Sampdoria now had more clarity. Of course, the situation is slightly different because they were on the eve of a bankruptcy and disappearance, because they are over 200 millions of in debt.
Okay.
And of course, they were on the eve of disappearance. We have been relegated, so it's a different situation. But of course, looking towards next season, I think we deserve, as a club, as a fan base, that stick together with the players, supported them fully through every moment of the season, ups and downs, like Manchester United says.
Yeah.
We deserve clarity about the takeover, about if the takeover is happening, or if Radrizzani is staying either in a majority or a minority position. So otherwise it will affect, in my opinion, next season planning, because we don't have a director of football. We are reading about release clause from some of the players like Aronson, Rodrigo, and other key players, of course, like Gnonto. We don't know if they're staying. I think not, because as an Italian, I know Mancini doesn't rate the lower leagues. So looking towards to Euro 2024, if we qualify, I have to say that, as Italy, of course, he will need to move to a club playing out in the top 5, in my opinion, and they will put him under pressure in order to do that. But yeah, the takeover situation will, in my opinion, affect the whole season planning if it's not sorted ASAP.
Yeah, like we were talking. It's quite, there's lots to unpack, but it's quite interesting you mentioned about the national team. I hadn't really thought about that, because that sort of scuppered Cody Gakpo's move to Leeds United in January, because
Van Gaal,
Van Gaal said, I want you to stay put, for example, where you are. You've mentioned there about the clarity needed with regards to how the club moves forward, because we were talking in the DMs about the potential of Leeds United having a sort of Udinese, Pozzo family kind of vibe, and we were saying how that would just be so poor for Leeds United moving into next season, right?
Yeah, I totally agree, because I don't like multi-club ownerships, honestly, at least in Italy. However, there have been a lot of not very a lot, but a few of these models arising, like in the past, and still continuing, ongoing. Udinese and Watford with the Pozzo family, and recently the City Group, the group of Manchester City, acquired Palermo in Serie B too, like Sampdoria, and it's a multi-ownership. Personally, for a club like Leeds, I won't be pro. I won't agree to a kind of stuff like that, honestly, because it will affect both Leeds and Sampdoria if it happens. I read it about it in a report by calciomercato.com, which means transfermarkt.com, but it's not linked to the transfer portal, the German transfer portal. It's one of the websites which contributes to the audience of La Gazzetta dello Sport. They were suggesting that if Radrizzani will remain in Leeds in some capacity, probably in a majority capacity in that case, I may add, that he will in their words look to follow one of the models like Udinese and Watford, for example. They included Granada too some years ago, but Granada, I think, is not part of that model to this day. Yeah,
and we were talking just off air, Andrea, that. And I think this seems to be the general opinion amongst a lot of Leeds United fans, that because of the size of the debt that Sampdoria have, and they've obviously made assurances to the creditors and to the banks that they're going to be paid, that we seem to believe that in order for this to go through, he needs to get some money. Now, where does he get that money? You would imagine it's with the full sale of his shares to the 49ers, right?
Yeah, because the reports were that if we stay in the Premier League, it was the price of the sale was around 420 millions. But now we're relegated. It has fallen to 170 millions with a reviewed deal, of course. So they have Ferrero, the owner of Sampdoria, was asking 30 millions to sell the club, with, of course, behind the scenes 200 millions of debt that, of course, the owner inherits and has to deal with. But the situation is, Sampdoria was very peculiar because basically it all changed when in 2020 Ferrero, due to the ongoing debts, entrusted a trust named Trust Rosanne, led by his financial advisor Gianluca Vidal, to practically be the custodian of the club, because he had problems with other of his companies. And 1 year later, in December, he was arrested by the Italian financial police, Ferrero. So he had to step down as the Sampdoria president, and he was replaced by Marco Lanna. Maybe you remember him because he was in the 80s and the 90s, especially one of the key players at Sampdoria. He's like, to make a comparison, like if Kerry Carey became the chairman of Leeds United. It's like that. He's a club legend, born and bred, academy product. He earned even a cup or two with the Italian national team back then. He won the Scudetto with when they had in the squad Mancini, the late Luca Vialli, the late great Luca Vialli, all those players. So he was a man trusted by the fans, especially. And they named a new board of directors, which, of course, it was in discontinuity with the previous owner, not in continuity. But you can reach an agreement with the new board of directors, but you had to speak and reach an agreement too with the trustee of Ferrero. So Radrizzani had reached an agreement with the board of directors, but he hadn't reached an agreement yet last week with Ferrero, and they reached an agreement today. So Ferrero announced too that he is selling the club to Radrizzani. It was a very difficult situation that was blocking the situation that leads to, in my opinion, in my point of view. So maybe now we can have some clarity, like we said before, on the next step, at least after who will replace Victor Horta, who will be the new manager, of course. I rule out Aladar staying, hopefully, after playing 6 defenders in the crucial match.
I don't think anybody wants Sam Allardyce to stay anymore, do they? For sure, because it was not great, was it? At the weekend, you know, was there a worry? Because I started to worry as a Leeds United fan, thinking if this sale didn't go through, that Andrea would stay with Leeds United and just maybe try get us back up on parachute payments and look to sell it again. I guess this was such a huge turning point for me anyway, in my opinion, on what's next for Leeds United. Because if it doesn't go through, then Radrizzani doesn't have another football club to buy. Therefore, he doesn't have a new toy, if you like, and therefore he stays at Leeds United. So it's a huge positive that this has gone through at the final hour, and
for sure.
You know, hopefully in the next couple of days we'll start to hear something from the 49ers as well, eh?
Yeah, otherwise we would have been stuck, in my opinion. We wouldn't be stuck because he of course put all his energy in the recent weeks to Sampdoria. He was at Bogliasco, their training center, the day after we were beat 3-1 in London by West Ham.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
The picture. Sorry,
he arrived at the training center, and after the day we were beat by West Ham in London, East London. So if it didn't go through, he had put all his money, his face, and reputation on the line there. He said that too on yesterday's statement, when they said their offer had been rejected by Ferrero, and they tried to put a lot of pressure on Ferrero because the Sampdoria fans, of course, were waiting under the club's HQ. They were there all the day. People took work permits. There were like 2,000 fans out there in Genoa waiting for this to go through. Really? But if it didn't go through, when we will have returned to Leeds after a no showing versus Spurs. After all the things that were said in the week, in the build in the build up in the week prior to the game with Spurs, after the statement, they released the unsigned statement. And by the way, communication this season has not been great at all, in my opinion, compared to the Barca days, where there was a lot of communication, a lot of community engagement. Still, there are community engagements, of course. The club still do a lot of activities outside, but there were more, I think, during the Barca days. The club was united in harmony with the fan base after years of failed promises by previous owners like Bates, like the GFH, like Cellino. I remember the days when we won the championship, when we had Chris Wood, when we had Antenucci, when we had Rudy Austin. The Ellen Road wasn't full at the time because the prices were really high. I remember, and there was a lot of protest towards the ownership. They succeeded in bringing the club and the city back together, uniting them again, and a lot of that thanks to Marcelo Bielsa, of course, in my opinion. But now, after this season, everything started wrong, in my opinion, in the summer of 2021, because the transfer strategy wasn't great. They brought in just Firpo and then James, when the squad had overachieved with the nine place finish the season before. There were huge gaps in some positions. We just had Calvin and Forshaw. That, of course, the season 2019-2020 was injured for the whole season, but we just had Calvin as the holding defensive midfielder. So that in my opinion is when all started went wrong. And the final straw was in February 2022 when they sacked Marcelo, and it all went to pieces gradually, leading to last Sunday, in my opinion.
100%. I think you've just encapsulated like everything that happened over that course of time perfectly.
It's Leeds United, mate. You can.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you even said that with a little bit of a Yorkshire twinge, like, mate. You know what I mean? I love it, Andrea. But yeah, listen. The Cellino getting chased out in a taxi. I remember on the side of the East Ham, they'd projected a picture of Cellino up.
On the stand.
Going on a Tuesday night once, we played Blackburn we played them in the league, and then we played them in the Capital One on the Tuesday night, and I think there was about 7,000-8,000 there, and
the McDermott saga too.
Mad. It's honestly, it was it's been mad, and you're right. If this Sampdoria deal hadn't gone through and he'd have come back, then for me, we'd have seen protests at Ellen Road. I think at some point it got to a stage where it had become untenable for him to even come back in. You know, I don't. That's how bad it had got.
Yeah, the first thing that actually came to my mind was when it was against Brighton, I think, when they organized in 2011 the protest against Ken Bates, when the majority of the fans stayed outside the ground and protested against the ownership. I would like to see those days again, honestly.
No, exactly.
So I think we had passed that phase, like feather pitch, you know.
We were a Premier League club, you know. We were back. We were back for a period of time.
But more than the Premier League was the core of the club, the identity back, in my opinion.
No, I agree completely. So, just what do you see then? Just Radrizzani aside now, Andrea. Let's talk about let's talk about Leeds United. You know, what do you think going into next season? Then, are you excited by the 49ers coming in? Because I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days. Is I'm worried that I'm holding them up here because ultimately they have also still been part owners of this football club for a while now, and that means they're also culpable for the situation we're in because they have also been involved in some capacity. Some will say massive, some will say only minuscule. But how are you feeling about the future as a Leeds United fan?
Well, personally, I hope for a fresh start, either if it is the 49ers or another now unlikely at this stage of time. Different buyer, solid buyer, of course, because we've seen a lot of worse owners in the past, and we know that very, very, very fondly. So yeah, I think we need a fresh start. But like you said, the 49ers should have communicated better, I think, in the past. I don't know, honestly, when it was the last time we heard something from Parag Maratha, which who right now is still the vice president of Leeds United. Let's not forget that. Because recently this season, we didn't heard much from Radrizzani, the club president. The program notes from the CEO Angus Kinnar were discontinued recently, and we didn't heard a word from the 49ers. So we don't know what is the strategy, what kind of mentality they would like to implement in the club, how they would like to run the club in terms of structure. Will they change the structure? Will they keep the structure as it is? Will they maintain, for example, Angus Kinnar as a CEO, or they bring in a new CEO of their choice, a man they trust, probably? And we need clarity on that too. And the first thing, as like I said, is clarity in the ownership, clarity about who will own the club very soon. Very soon, it is needed very soon, because it will affect the planning of next season otherwise. That's that.
Yeah. No, 100%.
That's the main point.
Yeah, I think it's less than 10 weeks away from the start of the season, because obviously the Championship starts sooner than the Premier League. It makes you wonder, though, as well, like, do you think with this going through with Radrizzani that maybe there's been some sort of no disclosure agreement? I'm not sure. Like, I just don't understand why we haven't heard anything from what will be our new owners, in a sense. I was thinking maybe they've been told not to say anything. It just all seems a little bit strange, a little bit cloak and dagger. I don't know if that saying will translate in Italian, really, to be honest. But it does seem a little bit strange that we haven't heard anything from the 49ers, right?
Yeah, right. I think it is, because otherwise it would have been their chance now to step forward and say their plans, because Radrizzani is buying another club. We heard in December 2021 in an article from David Orstein in The Athletic that in the, right now, I assume, previous deal, the deal that was prepared if we stay in the Premier League, they had a clause to void the agreement if Radrizzani, if Hazard, bought another club between before January 2024. So is that clause still in place? We don't know. It was limited to the deal fixed for the Premier League, or is it valid too for the deal now that we are back in the Championship? We don't know that. And personally, now Radrizzani is speaking about Sampdoria with the statement. He speaks about we move on. We have a plan. In the recent statement about Sampdoria, they said that they were looking for a top profile manager. But what about Leeds United? Who will be the new manager? Who will be the new director of football? It's like a litany, when you repeat the things again and again and again. But that's why we need, and probably right now that they have settled the situation at Sampdoria, probably, if I were them, they will say something or organize a press conference in Leeds. That's what I will do personally. If I were in their shoes. So, in order to just clarify what's going on behind the scenes at Ellen Road, because we heard reports that Kinnar is, of course, is considered for a transition period. Along with Radrizzani. But that will be the same, I think, the same situation we're in. Are we in a transition period right now? I think we are. I think we are. We don't hear anything about new developments on the club. We are developments just on Sampdoria, not on Leeds United, from the ownership. And the minority owners too.
I know, right?
It's a stalemate. It's a stalemate. Yeah.
It is a stalemate, and I do think a lot of Leeds fans, when canvassing social media and obviously looking at the chat tonight, I think we are all excited, right? I think we all are excited. Let's just hope this is the start of the removal of Andrea. And look, it's sad, really, because Andrea did bring us back to the Premier League, and his tenure as custodian of the football club should have ended much better than this. But ultimately,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, his legacy's been tarnished. That it is, and we can't get away from that fact. But I guess we'll always have gratitude for him bringing in Bielsa. But I think just from what's been your opinion actually of Radrizzani just over the course of his time? Obviously, you mentioned before we came on here, make sure you make people aware that I came and supported Leeds before Cellino and Radrizzani.
Yeah, because a lot of Leeds fans tend to associate Italian Leeds fans to of course, the days of Cellino and Radrizzani when the club got more exposure here in Italy. But like I said before we went online, the first game I actually watched as a football fan, when I can remember off the first game I can remember off first football match it was the start of my journey with football. When I was 40 years old, the first game I watched on TV was Leeds United versus AC Milan in the Champions League. And years later, I realized that team with the white shirts were Leeds United. It was like a sort of destiny becoming a Leeds fan. I was already a Leeds fan. I watched the Champions League journey back on YouTube, of course, because at 40 years old, I couldn't remember. The flash that I had in my mind was that Lee Bowyer shooting from outside the box and Dida crumbling with the ball inside the net, and the roar of the people under the rain. So when I watched that back, it was like a memory coming back, and I said, "No way, no way." Yeah, but I lived all the League One, the final part of the League One days, and from then on, of course, from 2009, when they started showing championship games in Italy here in Italy.
And what was it like for you then when Cellino? Because I remember obviously when Cellino came in, I think he thought, "Oh, do you know what? I'll just go to Serie B and just bring in a load of Italian players that'll be able to mix it at this level." And obviously it failed miserably at the time. But you mentioned someone earlier who I was a massive fan of, actually. And I thought in a different time, under a different manager, maybe someone like Mirko Antonucci could have actually done bits, because he was a very good player technically wise. I remember his goal against, I think it was Burnley on the opening day.
Yeah. The left foot from the center box.
Oh, man, what a goal that was. But he was a good player, right? What happened to Antonucci?
Well, right now he is at Bari. I saw him play yesterday on the television, because there's the Serie B, the second tier playoffs right now in Italy. So the first leg of Südtirol, which is the club that represents the province of Bolzano, which is half German speaking and half Italian speaking, but it is a name after the German name of the region, against Bari, where Antonucci plays. And there's also Elia Caprile, the former Tortoise goalkeeper, playing, and he is doing great. He will play in Serie A some days anyway, probably next season, even if Bari don't get promoted in the end, because they lost the game in the dying minutes yesterday, and now they have to come back at Bari this Friday, actually. And if they win,
I might watch it, mate. I might watch it if Antonucci's going to be playing.
He's getting a little bit old now, but he still has it, in my opinion. He was a good player, actually. When we had, I didn't rate Belushi actually and Bianchi. Silvestri is from the same town I am. I am from. I actually, when I worked in media, because right now I'm focused on my judicial job, so I used to work in media. I used to work in some football clubs and basketball club here in Italy as the social media guy, the head of social media. Silvestri, I actually interviewed him in 2016 when he saved the penalties in the League Cup against Norwich, or was it the FA Cup? I don't remember. When it was the backup choice of Rob Green. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he's a very good guy. He has always he had and still has in the interviews that I've recently read good words, good memories from Leeds.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. People were just asking, just out of interest. I think a lot of people have really enjoyed you coming on, Andrea, and
I really appreciate that.
Honestly, mate, it's been a great contribution. So thank you. Colin just asked, what's the general opinion on Willie Gnonto then? Do you know why was he also sent to Zurich? Was it like, I don't understand that either, really, because he's clearly got talent, right? It's mad to think we picked him up for as little as we did.
Yeah, sure. He was sent to Zurich because Inter didn't have a plan for him. He was a product of the Inter Academy. They didn't rate him. There weren't offers from other Italian clubs, so he made a good choice in going to Zurich. There were a lot other younger players like Ante Čorić. I don't know if you remember him. He was really rated some years ago, a Croatian winger. He played for Roma, then went on loan for various clubs. But he made the right choice, had an instant impact. And I'll tell you this to Colin. When he was called up for the Nations League fixtures last year, after we failed to qualify for the World Cup, very few people in Italy actually knew who Gnonto was. So the press said, who is this player? We don't have talent in the Serie A. Mancini is forced to call up players from the Swiss League. Now they're saying the same thing about Matteo Retegui, who scored recently against England. But it's a different situation that one. So he wasn't really rated. He is not really rated at all from the majority of the fans, because the press were really into him at the beginning after he played a good game against Germany. So from that, really low opinion after the game against Germany in the Nations League. They went, oh, he's like the new talent of Italian football. He's very rated. Inter want him. I see Milan want him. Juventus are interested in him. And days after days, the transfer window went on, and no Italian club had acquired him. So a lot of fans said, you were pushing Gnonto to the press. They were saying that you were pushing Gnonto, but no Italian club has acquired him yet. So we arrived to the final day of the transfer window, when after the botched Bamba Dieng deal.
Yeah.
And we acquired him for just 5 millions.
Yeah.
Of course, but I don't think it is a surprise. Honestly, I don't think it was a good move from Orta, and I explain myself. It was a good move in terms of talent, of course. But if you remember correctly, at the beginning, Jesse Marsh said that Gnonto wasn't ready to play in the Premier League. And it was like a final minute deal, because Dan James went on loan to Fulham. We had failed to get in Gakpo. We had failed to get in Bamba Dieng. We had chased for a long time Chas de Catelera, and who had signed for AC Milan. Yeah. So we signed Willie. Jesse Marsh said that he wasn't ready to play in the Premier League. After some injuries, if you remember, he had a chance, performed, and from then on, he was the best player of the season, along with Rodrigo and Tyler Adams. That unfortunately, the three of them, I don't think we'll be able to keep them in the Championship.
Do you think Willie Gnonto will move on then? Yeah.
Yeah, but not related. He's not related to the attitude of the player, of course, because he's always had good words and spoken highly about Leeds United, about how the club helped him. He said to the Italian press when he came over to play in the Euro qualifiers that Leeds really helped him develop as a player. And but with Euro 2024 on the horizon, I think he'll be forced to move to a top-tier club, because he has competition in his position. We have Zaccagni from Lazio, who's had a hell of a season. We have Grifo, who was not rated either in Italy, but he's a great player. He has played very well in the Bundesliga with Freiburg this season. And we have Zaniolo, Orsolini, Sharawi. other Chiesa, a lot of other players in his position. So he'll have to face a tough competition, and if he wants to play his chances to get to Euro 2024, if we qualify, of course, he'll have to play, in my opinion, in the top tier. Unfortunately, unluckily for us, but I love this to this point of view. I prefer him to stay for his development in England. Maybe to the Premier League, because if he arrives, if he signs for an Italian club in Serie A, the physicality is way higher in some terms, and the tactical situation will not fit him, in my opinion, because a lot of Italian teams play a very narrow football, just like Jesse Marsh. But it will not suit him, in my opinion. There's a club that might be interested in him, which is Sassuolo, which plays in my own town, but it's not from here. They have acquired the stadium via judicial auction, and my local club, Reggiana, plays an annual rent to play there. It's a complicated situation. Reggiana plays in Serie B the second year, Sassuolo in Serie A the first year. It's a club that has developed recently some players like Fratesi, Scamacca, Traore, who signed for Bournemouth this season.
Is Dominic Berardi at Sassuolo?
He plays there. He's like the captain. He has renewed till 2028. Probably 2028 or 2027 recently.
You know, you mentioned earlier as well, Charles De Ketelaere. I don't know if I say it right. Charles De Ketelaere.
Italians don't know how to
it's difficult. I remember my pronunciation. Charles De Ketelaere. That's what I got to in the end.
You nailed it, actually.
Yeah, man. Thank you. It took me long enough, Andrea. It took me long enough. How's his time been in Milan? Like, because it's been a bit poor, hasn't it, by all accounts?
Yeah, Milan has a trend. I see Milan has a trend to settle the young players that come in very slowly, gradually. The Ketelaere started on the right foot. With the right foot, he had some good performances at the beginning. Then he was basically frozen out with very little opportunities by Pioli, playing just like in the final 15 or 10 minutes with the game already settled. And he didn't have an impact. He looks lost actually on the pitch sometimes, tactically too. Because they tend to play him wide sometimes, and sometimes they play him as a second striker. So I think you need to have personality, and you need to adapt to situations. And he hasn't been strong. He hasn't reacted at all to the difficult times he had on the pitch recently. So I think a loan move might be the best solution for him next season, because he hasn't settled in Serie A at all. They have played even a player that has struggled a lot with injuries, like Rebic or Messias, you may say in English probably, Messias and Origi too in his position. Origi is the lone striker, he's number 9, but they have played it sometimes as the second striker. And I think
CDK,
ahead of CD of the Ketelaere, and I think the loan option is the best option for him to get back his desire, the trust in himself, because of course there's talent in that player. He wasn't a fluke at Bruges, I think.
No.
I rated him actually. He might have suited us, but in terms of talent, he has a lot of talent. But if you can compare the talent to Willy Gnonto, of course, on paper, Willy started last season with a lower percentage of talent. On paper, of course, it was less rated. But in terms of desire, Willy is here, and the Ketelaere is there right now. When you see the pitch, he needs to find back his fighting spirit.
No, for sure. That makes. We've had a few questions come in, from people.
Happy to.
Yeah,
to answer them.
start. Yeah. Jim asks, what Italian team do you support? You mentioned Regina, right? Is that right? Or
No, not Regina. There's always this dichotomy, this dualism, because Regina is the team of Reggio Calabria, which is located in the south in Calabria,
okay.
and it's called Regina. The town I'm from is Reggio Emilia, which is in the north of Italy,
Okay.
more or like 30 kilometers west of Bologna,
Okay.
and in the middle, right in the middle.
Okay.
We were not far from the floodings region from Romania, the regions where the floodings have recently caused damages, a lot of damages to Emilia-Romagna, which is the region I'm from. Reggio Emilia as a team, Reggiana, which has been recently promoted this season to Serie B after 2 years absence. The club had declared bankruptcy in 2019.
Okay.
Because the then owner, Mike Piazza, the baseball legend, had then registered the club to Serie C and had decided to withdraw all the investment. So the club went bankrupt and had to restore with the Phoenix club and in 2019 from Serie D, which this scenario would have happened to Sampdoria if Radrizzani wouldn't have acquired them. They would have restarted from Serie D, the fourth tier of Italian football. So you will have seen like matches like Sampdoria versus Liguria, which is another local team. They will have played like against the Minos, like Leeds playing against I don't know, in the league like Paisley probably.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Or I'm not saying York because it's a big city with a lot of history. Right now they're struggling, of course. They have a nice stadium, however. So to finish the previous sentence, Reggiana is my local club. I worked in the club when it was reformed. I was their head of social media because previously I was a journalist covering Reggiana. Then I entered into the club structure. I was their head of social media. We got promoted to Serie C, then to Serie B, double promotion. Then got back to Serie C 2 years ago. Last season we lost in the playoffs, and then got promoted as champions this season. The situation is very particular because the club had already declared bankruptcy the first time in 2005, and the stadium then became the subject of a judicial auction and was acquired by Sassuolo in 2013. So Sassuolo is the owner of the stadium, but they basically have little funds. In a 20,000 capacity stadium, they have like 200 fans, 300 fans attending their games. So very little. On the other hand, Reggiana playing in the lower leagues, they have like 8,000 average with a peak of like in the final game there was 15,000 spectators. So my local team, the team I support, is Reggiana, of course, because I worked for them. Then I decided to follow a different path. But I grew up with my dad being a Juventus fan, but I really despise them as they have become like a marketing club.
Yeah.
A club with no identity, just focus on the marketing and the branding. So the stadium is soulless. They don't have a chance. They didn't have a chance for a long period. The prices are really, really high. It's like a theater. Last week I saw a video on Twitter of NBA entertainment style during halftime with one of those launchers when you launch the merchandise into the stands.
Oh,
like
really?
In the NBA, yeah, it's not what football is supposed to mean. Football is about connected to the club, to his values, to his tradition, to the mentality. It's what I found in Leeds. Leeds it's going through ups and downs in your life too. It's sticking with the club to good and bad times. But 100%. Actually, I've always followed the club through the radios, watching the games where they were broadcasted. But I did, because I was little at the time, I didn't have the chance to come and see a game on Ellen Road. So I had the chance last September for my birthday, which is on the 12th of September. I had the tickets for the game against Nottingham Forest. Then the game when I was in London got postponed, of course, because of the Queen's passing. Then I wasn't able to come because of work commitments. That also because of work commitments, I can come often to through the season, during the season. But yeah, I'm planning to come to Leeds in maybe August. Yeah,
I have a season ticket, Andrea. Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever you need to go, tell me when you get time off,
be
and
nice
you can
for
have
me. Really nice.
You can have the ticket for that day. Okay?
Yeah, because I have the membership. Of course, I will renew it every time. But I didn't have the chance before because I was too little. I had to go to school. Then
100%.
After that, I started working straight away after I finished school and in journalism and on parallel lines to the judicial way too. Then I started to focus on one of the two. So I have little but no time to come during the season. Unfortunately, I had the chance during the last September, but the game was postponed, so I had to go to watch Charlton versus Forest Green Rovers in London. But it was good when the Red Robin comes, Bob in alone.
I love that. No, listen, honestly, when you come over, we'll keep in touch. You can have my ticket
sure.
whenever you're free. That goes without saying. A lot of people saying it's the first person to keep Josh quiet. Joe's in session here. He's been a student. It's good that I can learn things, right? What a great guest we've stumbled upon.
Yeah, a lot of people say that I talk too much. I agree with them.
No. Class. Terry Felipe says Reggio Emilia is amazing. Went there 2 years ago on a football tour, as my pal Roberto was from the best Parmigiano.
Yeah, there's Parmigiano is the local cheese, but we call it Reggiano because the main rivalry, like Man United Leeds, here is Parma versus Reggiana. They hate each other. It's one of the most heated rivalries in Italian football. And unfortunately, it was just played once recently in 20 years. It was played the last time in Serie A in 1997, and the Reggiana fans throw sinks to Buffon. So the stadium was disqualified, and there was a stadium ban for a few games. Then recently in Serie C, when Parma had to restart from the lower leagues, they met in 2016. Parma came here in front of 20,000 people and won 2-0. After 20 years wait for the locals here. Yeah, there's also this debate because the cheese, they call it Parmigiano, which is the anonymously known name in worldwide, but the complete name, the full name is Parmigiano Reggiano, and here in Reggio we call it just Reggiano because it's an everyday is different between us and them. And next season probably if Parma don't get promoted, they were winning 2-0 today in the first leg of the Serie B playoff semi-final versus Cagliari, Ranieri's Cagliari, and they lost 3-2. So they'll have on Saturday to come back and win at the Tardini. Otherwise, if they fail to do so, we will meet again after it is now 2016, 2023.
That would be cool.
You make the count.
Yeah. Michael Roebuck says Joe turned Italian like Steve McLaren. I am aware that I do throw my voice a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah. Previously, I said that I am accustomed to the Yorkshire accent, so I can understand fully. Fully. Sometimes I mixed up the words and in terms of.
I was like before I kept saying, did I? Do you need me to talk slow? And you were like, no, it's okay. No but I still
I search on Google in English. I watch English videos, but I have a little opportunity apart from when foreign customers came to my workplace to speak in English. Unfortunately, when I'm here in Italy, so the practice turns sour sometimes. So of course. That's why sometimes I mix up the grammar and or the vocabulary.
You speak better English than me, and definitely some of the people that watch this show anyway. Right, some questions, mate. Are you gutted about Llorente if he comes back to Leeds? Obviously, he's over at Roma at the minute. I believe they had a deal to sign him long term, but that transfer fee was inflated.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He had some injury setbacks during his time at the Stadio Olimpico with Roma. And just unluckily he had the first season, especially when he was at Elland Road, He played the second half against Lazio in the derby. He had some good performances. Then Mourinho always decides to play with Ibanez on the left. The three at the back: Ibanez, Smalling, and sometimes Kumbulla, sometimes other players. He even played Cristante, which is who is a defensive midfielder or the midfielder as the center back. But yeah, they're not gonna renew him, and yeah, the probably Leeds, I think, should look to sell him back to La Liga. Probably a team that might suit him, I think, is Osasuna, because he already played in the Basque Country. Of course, it's Navarra, but it's part of the Euskal Herria, the Basque Country. So probably some Spanish outlets, some Spanish clubs like Osasuna or Rayo Vallecano. He already played for Rayo Vallecano. Might be the perfect suit for him, I think.
100%.
So I'm sure his time with Leeds is over for me personally.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to this question, Jimmy. Who's your favorite Italian player ever?
Italian player ever? Well, as I said, my father supported Juventus when I was little, so I was totally enamored with Alessandro Del Piero. I was lucky to meet him when I was an infant, when I was 6 or 7 months old, and I have a picture of that occasion. Then I met him again in 2007 because my father is involved in football too. He was the sports director, the CEO at Sanremese, then Spezia when they were in the third year in 2006. And then at Reggiana too, just like me, but in a different capacity, of course. So when they play against Spezia, because Juventus was in Serie B that season, I met with Camoranesi, Del Piero, Buffon after the game, and had pictures with them. And Del Piero, but just not like because of his football skills on the pitch. He's a great man. He's an example of how a player should behave. I cried when he retired, just like Totti, because they were like we as Italians we grew up with Maldini, Totti, Zanetti, Del Piero one-man clubs, and that was the final end of an era. The era of one-man club players, just like Gary Kelly and Jackie Charlton.
Yeah. Who would be your favorite exploit, like Italians playing in the Premier League? Because we've had some good ones through the years. Who would be your pick?
Well, I may go with an underrated player, Paolo Di Canio. When he was at West Ham, I think he was really good. He even had a call from Sir Alex Ferguson, if I remember correctly. He recounted that he received a call before Christmas from Sir Alex Ferguson from them, from United, and he asked Di Canio if he would have liked to sign for Man United, and he replied with thank you, but I love West Ham United, and he stayed and moved to Charlton. But he was really underrated. The best one probably Italian ever in the Premier League is however Luca Vialli.
Yeah, of course.
We talked about Sampdoria previously. He's a legend for all Italian football. What he did during the Euros as the confessor, the shoulder where the player or the man, the shoulder where the player could cry on, the confessor for the players. With that kind of disease that he had, that tragic health problem that he had, that ultimately led to his death. We were all really touched by what he did. I don't know if it is available in UK's Netflix, but there's a series covering the Euro qualifiers and the Euro 2020 Italian camp, which is called the Sogno Azzurro, which means the Azzurri dream. And you see behind the scenes content of that Euro 2020 campaign, and Vialli was the glue keeping together everyone together. He was the epitome of what being Italian meant during that summer, after we had been hit really, really hard by COVID as a country. We were the first country to declare the lockdown we stayed for 4 months straight under a hard lockdown. So it was like a revenge against everything going back to life, seeing the squares, the people celebrating together back again. It was like returning to life for us. And unfortunately for you, but the England team, I think, had a very, very good tournament. I don't think Southgate is the answer right now for the English team. Maybe they should have gone for Eddie Howe, because he plays a very, very an attractive style of football. Another one that plays another attractive style of football is De Zerbi, which was really rated by a few people here in Italy, especially my fellow townman, you say. He's from the same town, basically. Adani, I don't know if you know him. He played for Fiorentina, Inter Milan back in the day. Now they have this program, just like us right now, speaking on online, where the pundits are Bobo Christian Vieri, Antonio Cassano, Daniela Dani, and Nicola Ventola, and they speak freely, frankly, with a colorful language too, about everything that's going on in Italian football. They hailed for a very long time the Zebio when he was at Sassuolo and then at Shakhtar, and everybody just went into them. You're speaking good about him because he's your friend. Now they've been proven right, because he's very similar, and Guardiola said it too, to what Guardiola used to do when he started his career as manager.
Yeah, he looks like a great find, does De Zerbi, to be fair. Great top manager. Be interesting to see if he's at Brighton in a few seasons' time. I'd probably say not. It'd be interesting to see where he moves. Listen, I always remember, it was Bonucci, wasn't it, when he said, "It's coming Rome."
He said that. Yeah. I remember that in the camera, and he even said when they were walking towards the podium with Chiellini, he said, now I'm going to say it in Italian and translate it for you. Mangiate ancora tanta pasta asciutta. You have to eat pasta, which meant you have to grow up, to continue to grow up in order to achieve those trophies. He had some stirs to say, some banter to say, because I have a lot. I have a lot of books behind me. There's the one of Spinazzola about Euro 2022. And he says that in the Italian camp, and it is something that we all the Italians noticed, they were really touched and motivated by the buzzing of It's Coming Home around London, and the fans that gathered on the Spurs training ground where the Italian national team was staying, chanting "It's Coming Home." The countdown shown on one of the main channels in England. They were really motivated by that. And the real mistake in that game, we start of the game, we concede to England with that Luke Shaw goal.
Yeah.
Southgate retreated back, sat back deep into his own half, into England's own half, and that was the mistake, because that Italian team, contrary to the present, really played good football with a lot of possession. So we started to create, and gain trust. We had the chance with Chiesa. We had other chances with Insigne. And you had the chance with Harry Maguire, with the chance of, he's famous for that meme in Italy too. They don't rate him at all, just like in England here, in Italy. But he's been linked to Juventus recently in the last week. I read a link about him to Juventus. I don't think it's true personally, but I don't see the reason why Juventus would like to sign him. They are full of centre backs. Yeah,
there's been some good English exploits to Serie A of late, though, right? Like Tomori, Chris Smalling, Tammy Abraham.
Tomori and Smalling, yes, I agree. Abraham has struggled a lot this season. He has struggled a lot. But all Roma strikers have struggled, like Belotti too. The real problem with Abraham, in my opinion, is that he often performs when he has Dybala behind him, as a second striker. When he plays alongside Belotti, like in recent times in the Europa League, he struggles a lot because he is not really physical and can't hold the ball up when they go for him from the back. So when he has Dybala, they pass the ball between the two of them a lot, and he attacks the space. He creates depth for the team, and that's why he has performed a lot last season. Maybe right now I read some reports saying he might have come back next season. He might come back next season to England, but not. I think not in a top 4 club.
I'd
Maybe
take him.
Villa.
I'd
Going
take
back
him.
to Villa, probably.
Yeah, Villa would be a good shout, actually.
He had a good season there when they won the playoffs. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, right.
Tomori,
we have
Tomori
done.
is very good. Tomori is very good.
Yeah, but he won't get picked for England, will he? This is Southgate. Right. Well, we've done an hour. It's getting late. Yeah, Andrea. Honestly, thank you so much.
Thanks to you
for coming on.
Anytime.
Anytime. We will talk again. The chat's been very happy you came on, man. So you'll have to have a look back and see. Yeah, it was really good.
Thank you.
Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you go over and follow Andrea on Twitter. It's at @andrusso_16, right?
Yeah, right. Yes, it is right. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that on the comments now so that people can go and follow you on Twitter. Just 1 second. I did have it up there for a minute. Why isn't it there? Right.
Yeah. Talking about the debates, JFH era. Did you see what I have behind me on the on my left?
The shirt, yeah.
2012, 2013. Yeah.
I do that all the time, you know, when I say it there, because it's difficult, isn't it? Make sure you go and follow Andrea on Twitter, folks. Honestly,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. With regards to the stuff that's been said, has been amazing, and I'll be back tomorrow at some point doing another video, hopefully reacting to some more meat on the bones when it comes to the 49ers takeover, and we will see you all